The moment Isabella Romano stepped out of that Upper East Side cafe with her vanilla latte, she had 30 seconds left of her ordinary life. She didn't know it yet. Didn't know that the black Mercedes idling across Madison Avenue wasn't waiting for someone else. Didn't know that her navy peacoat and dark hair matched a photograph in someone's pocket. A photograph of a completely different woman. The grab happened so fast she didn't even drop her coffee. 1 second she was checking her phone. The next, a hand clamped over her mouth, an arm locked around her waist, and the world tilted sideways as she was dragged into the back seat. The door slammed, tires squealed, and Manhattan blurred past the tinted windows as her scream died behind someone's leather glove. But before we go any further, drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. We've got viewers from every corner of the globe, and we love hearing from our Mafia family. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now because tomorrow we're dropping another story you absolutely cannot miss. Isabella's heart hammered against her ribs as the car tore through the city. There were 3 men. The one beside her kept his hand over her mouth. His cologne expensive. His grip professional. The driver never looked back. And the third man, broad-shouldered, silent, sat in the passenger seat like a statue carved from stone. Got her, the one holding her said into his phone. Clean. No witnesses. Heading to the point now. Point. Isabella's mind raced. She'd heard whispers about places like that. Warehouses in Red Hook where people went in and didn't come out. Her journalism degree suddenly felt useless. All those investigative pieces she'd written about organized crime in New York. And now she was living one. When the car finally stopped, they pulled her out into a cavernous warehouse that smelled like salt water and old money. The Hudson River glittered through broken windows. Her heels echoed on concrete as they walked her toward a single metal chair under a hanging light. And that's when she saw him. Dante Moretti stood in the shadows like he owned them. 6'3" of tailored menace, dark hair swept back, a face that belonged on Renaissance sculptures. If Renaissance sculptures could look at you like they were calculating exactly how much your life was worth. His suit probably cost more than her rent. His eyes, dark as espresso, fixed on her with an intensity that made her knees weak for reasons that had nothing to do with fear. Well, not nothing to do with fear. He stepped into the light, and Isabella's breath caught. This was a man used to being obeyed. Used to getting what he wanted. The kind of man her mother had warned her about, except her mother had been thinking of bad boys with motorcycles, not actual mafia bosses with blood on their hands and empires in their pockets. Sophia Marconi, he said, his voice like bourbon and smoke. You made a very stupid mistake. Isabella's confusion must have shown on her face because Dante frowned. He pulled out his phone, glanced at a photo, then looked at her again. His jaw tightened. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. Too quietly. Isabella. Isabella Romano." The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Dante turned to the man who'd grabbed her. Marco, she'd learn later. And the look he gave him could have stripped paint. "You grabbed the wrong woman." Marco went pale. "Boss, I swear she matched the photo. Same coat, same hair, same cafe. Same everything except the face, apparently." Dante's voice was blade sharp. He looked at Isabella again, and something flickered in his eyes. Annoyance, calculation, and something else she couldn't name. "Sophia Marconi is a federal prosecutor. You just kidnapped a civilian." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Isabella's mind spun. A federal prosecutor. They'd meant to grab someone who could hurt them, leverage in whatever war these men were fighting. Instead, they got a freelance journalist who wrote fluff pieces about Brooklyn bakeries to pay rent. "So let me go," she said, hating how her voice shook. "I won't say anything. I didn't see anything. I don't even know who you are." Dante smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You're a terrible liar, Isabella Romano." He walked closer, circling her like a wolf studying prey. You know exactly who I am. Can see it in your face. Which means letting you go is the one thing I can't do. Her blood turned to ice. You're going to kill me. I should. He stopped in front of her, close enough that she could smell his cologne. Cedar and something darker, something dangerous. You're a witness to a kidnapping. A liability. In my world, we eliminate liabilities. Then why haven't you? The words came out before she could stop them, sharp with the kind of defiance that had gotten her in trouble her whole life. Something like amusement crossed his face. Good question. He studied her for a long moment, long enough that Isabella felt exposed, like he was reading every secret she'd ever kept. Then he made a decision she could see crystallize in his eyes. Marco, he said without looking away from her. Take her to the estate. The East Wing. Post guards. Boss. Now. Isabella's pulse spiked. Wait, what? You can't just. I just did. Dante leaned down, his face inches from hers, and Isabella's breath stopped. You wanted to know why I haven't killed you. Because I'm not convinced you're useless yet. Maybe you're worth more alive. Maybe you'll give me something I can use. Or maybe. His eyes traveled over her face with an intensity that made her skin burn. Maybe I just want to figure out what to do with you before I make any permanent decisions. That's insane. Welcome to my world, Bella. The way he said it, Bella, sent an unwanted shiver down her spine. This was wrong. All of this was wrong. She should be terrified, screaming, fighting. Instead, she was drowning in the darkest eyes she'd ever seen, and some treacherous part of her wanted to know what would happen if she stayed. They took her to an estate in Alpine, New Jersey, one of those sprawling properties that overlooked the Manhattan skyline like a throne overlooking a kingdom. The East Wing was luxurious in a way that made her studio apartment look like a cardboard box. Marble floors. Crystal chandeliers. A bed bigger than her entire bedroom. And guards outside her door. She was a prisoner in a palace, and the man who'd put her there was the most dangerous person she'd ever met. The first 3 days were a standoff. Isabella refused to speak to Dante when he visited, which he did every evening like clockwork. He'd sit in the chair by the window, drink whiskey, and watch her like she was a puzzle he was determined to solve. You're wasting your time, she told him on day 4. I have nothing you want. That's where you're wrong. He swirled his whiskey, the amber liquid catching the light. You're fascinating, Isabella. Most people in your situation would be begging for their lives. But you look at me like you're trying to decide if I'm worth your time. You kidnapped me. Technically, Marco kidnapped you. You're keeping me. True. He smiled, slow and devastating. I'm keeping you anyway. The words echoed the title of her nightmare, and Isabella hated how they made her feel. Like maybe being kept wasn't the worst thing in the world if it meant more evenings like this, verbal sparring with a man who matched her wit for wit. It was Stockholm Syndrome. Had to be. Nothing else explained why she started looking forward to his visits. Why she noticed the way his shoulders filled out his suit jacket, or how his rare smiles transformed his face from dangerous to devastating. On day 7 everything changed. Isabella was reading in the library, because of course this place had a library, when shouting erupted from downstairs. Gunshots, breaking glass. She froze, book falling from her hands as the door burst open. Not Dante. Not Marco. 3 men she'd never seen, guns drawn, eyes cold. That's her, one of them said. Moretti's new pet. Her blood turned to ice as they grabbed her, dragged her toward the window where a rope ladder hung from the balcony. This was it. Rival family. Revenge. She was dead. Then Dante appeared in the doorway like an avenging angel, gun in hand, fury in his eyes. The next 60 seconds were violence and chaos. Dante moved like death choreographed, every shot precise, every movement controlled. He took down 2 men before they could blink. The third used Isabella as a shield, gun pressed to her temple. "Back off, Moretti, or I paint the walls with her brain." Dante's eyes met Isabella's across the room. She saw the calculation there, the cold math of her life versus his safety. Saw the moment he made his choice. He lowered his gun. "Let her go," he said quietly. "Take me instead." The man laughed. "You think we're stupid." The moment I let her go, Isabella moved. She'd taken 1 self-defense class in college, and it was a miracle she remembered anything. But desperation made her fast. She dropped her weight, twisted, and the gun went off, into the ceiling, not her head. Dante was moving before the echo faded, and then it was over. The third man on the floor. Blood on the Persian rug. Silence. Isabella stood there shaking, adrenaline screaming through her veins, and Dante crossed the room in 3 strides. His hands cupped her face, urgent, searching. "Did he hurt you?" His voice was raw. "Isabella, look at me. Are you hurt?" She shook her head, and something in him cracked. He pulled her against his chest, 1 hand in her hair, and she felt his heart hammering as fast as hers. "You could have been killed," he said against her hair. "You should have stayed down." "So should you." She pulled back enough to meet his eyes. "You were going to trade yourself. For me." "Yes." "Why?" The question hung between them, heavy with everything unsaid. Dante's thumb brushed her cheekbone. His touch impossibly gentle from a man she'd seen kill 3 people in under a minute. "Because somewhere between kidnapping you and keeping you," he said softly, "you stopped being a liability and started being something else entirely." "What?" "Necessary." He kissed her like a man drowning, and Isabella kissed him back like she was the air he needed. It was wrong and dangerous and crossed every line she'd ever drawn, but God help her, she didn't care. His hands were in her hair, hers fisted in his shirt, and the world burned down around them until nothing existed except this moment, this man, this impossible connection that shouldn't exist but did. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Isabella knew the truth. She wasn't a prisoner anymore. She was something far more dangerous. She was in love with Dante Moretti. The next weeks were a fever dream. Dante didn't send her home. She didn't ask to leave. Instead, she learned his world, the family businesses, the careful alliances, the deadly rivalries that had sparked the attack. She learned that Dante had inherited his empire at 23 when his father was murdered. That he'd spent 10 years building something legitimate from something rotten. That he was trying to go clean, and the old families hated him for it. She learned that the federal prosecutor they'd meant to kidnap, Sofia Marconi, was targeting Dante specifically, trying to bring down his organization even though he was transitioning out of the life. And she learned that falling in love with a mafia boss meant living with a target on your back. The threat came via text message at 3 a.m. "We have information on Isabella Romano. Journalist. No family. No protection. Tell Moretti if he doesn't back off the waterfront deal, she dies screaming." Dante's face when he showed her was carved from stone. "I'm sending you away. Tonight. New identity, new city, protection until this is over." "No. Isabella. No." She stood, fury and fear making her reckless. "I'm not running. I'm not letting them use me against you. They'll kill you to hurt me. Do you understand that?" His control was fracturing, desperation bleeding through. "I've lost everyone I've ever cared about to this life. I won't lose you too. Then don't let them win." She took his face in her hands, forcing him to meet her eyes. "Don't send me away. Don't make decisions for me. Chose this. Chose you. Even knowing what you are, what you've done. I choose you, Dante. You're choosing death. I'm choosing life." Her voice broke. "For the first time in my boring, safe, small existence, I'm choosing to actually live. With you. Whatever that means." He kissed her like she was oxygen and he was suffocating, and they didn't talk about her leaving again. But 2 nights later everything fell apart. Isabella was in the library when she heard voices from Dante's study. She shouldn't have listened. Should have walked away. But years of journalistic instinct made her pause outside the cracked door. Only way to protect her is to end this. Marco's voice urgent. Boss, if the Calabrese family thinks she's your weakness. She is my weakness. Dante sounded tired, defeated. That's the problem, Marco. For the first time in my life, I have something to lose that terrifies me more than a bullet. Then let her go. Send her away for real this time. Make her safe. She won't go. Then make her. Tell her it was a game. That you were using her. Break her heart if you have to, but get her out before they kill her to hurt you. Isabella's world tilted. The words shouldn't have hurt. She knew what Dante was, what this life meant. But hearing him consider destroying her to save her, carved out something vital in her chest. She walked into the study without knocking. Both men froze. Dante's face went carefully blank, but she saw the guilt in his eyes. Isabella, were you going to do it? Her voice was steadier than she felt. Were you going to break my heart to protect me? He stood slowly, a caged predator trying not to spook prey. It would be the smart thing. The safe thing. For who? Me or you? For both of us. He moved closer, and she saw the pain etched in every line of his face. I can't protect you, Bella. Not from this. Not from what's coming. And I can't. His voice cracked. I can't watch you die because you love me. So you'd rather make me hate you. If it keeps you alive. Every time. The room fell silent except for their breathing. Isabella looked at this man. This dangerous, complicated, impossible man, and made her choice. No. Dante frowned. No. No, I won't hate you. No, I won't leave. And no, you don't get to make this decision alone. She crossed to him, took his hands. You want to protect me. Then teach me. Give me a gun, teach me to shoot. Show me the exits, the safe houses, the protocols. Make me strong enough to stand beside you instead of hiding behind you. Isabella. I'm not asking permission, Dante. I'm telling you how this works if you want me to stay. I won't be your weakness. I'll be your partner. Or I walk away right now, and you'll never see me again. It was a bluff. She couldn't walk away if she tried. But he didn't need to know that. Marco cleared his throat. Boss, she's got fire. Might actually survive this family. Dante's eyes never left Isabella's face. She saw the war happening behind them. Duty versus desire, protection versus partnership. Finally, slowly, he nodded. Okay, he said quietly. Okay, we do this your way. But if anything happens to you, then we face it together. He pulled her into his arms, and Isabella felt his heart racing against hers. This was insane, reckless, probably suicidal. But it was also the most real thing she'd ever felt. The war with the Calabrese family came to a head on a freezing December night at the docks in Red Hook. The same docks where Isabella's nightmare had started 3 months ago. Dante had brokered a neutral ground. One last chance at peace before the city drowned in blood. Isabella insisted on coming. Dante relented only after she proved she could handle a gun and keep her head in a crisis. They arrived with Marco and 5 soldiers. The Calabrese family brought twice that. And standing in the center, flanked by armed men, was Sofia Marconi, the federal prosecutor Isabella should have been. You're working together, Dante said flatly. The Calabrese family and the FBI. Sofia smiled, cold and sharp. Desperate times. Your attempts to go legitimate were disrupting the entire power structure. We both had reasons to want you gone. So you used me as bait, Isabella said, pieces clicking together. You knew they'd try to grab you. Knew they'd make a mistake eventually. I knew Moretti had gone soft. Sophia's eyes flicked to Isabella. I didn't expect him to keep the wrong girl. That was unexpected. Life's full of surprises, Dante said softly. Dangerously. The next moments happened in slow motion and lightning speed. Guns drawn. Shouting. Sophia pulling out handcuffs and badge. The Calabrese underboss reaching for his weapon. And Isabella, seeing the sniper's laser sight paint a red on Dante's chest from a warehouse window. She moved without thinking, pure instinct and love overriding self-preservation. Shoved Dante aside as the shot rang out. Pain exploded through her shoulder. The world tilted. She heard Dante screaming her name, felt his arms catch her as she fell. Then chaos. Marco and the soldiers returning fire. The FBI rushing in. Apparently Sophia had been playing both sides, recording everything. The Calabrese family going down in a hail of bullets and federal charges. But Isabella barely registered any of it. She was focused on Dante's face above hers, his hands pressing against her shoulder, his eyes wild with terror. "Stay with me," he begged. "Bella, stay with me. You don't get to do this. You don't get to save me and then leave me. Isabella, please." "I'm okay," she whispered, though blood was soaking through her coat. "Dante, I'm okay. It's just my shoulder. You took a bullet for me." "Obviously." She tried to smile. "What are partners for?" Sirens wailed in the distance. Marco was shouting for an ambulance. And Dante pressed his forehead to hers, his hands shaking. "I love you," he said, raw and desperate. "I love you, and you're never doing anything this stupid again, do you understand me? I love you too." She lifted her good hand to his face. "But I'm absolutely doing stupid things for you again. That's kind of my thing now." He laughed, broken and wet, and kissed her like she was his salvation. The bullet had missed everything vital, through and through, clean as these things went. Isabella spent 3 days in a private hospital in Westchester, while the FBI dismantled the Calabrese operation, and Sophia Marconi's career imploded in a corruption scandal. Dante never left her side. He slept in the chair by her bed, held her hand through the pain, and whispered promises in Italian when he thought she was sleeping. On the 4th day, when they finally released her, he drove her not to the estate but to a brownstone in Brooklyn Heights with views of the Manhattan Bridge. "What is this?" she asked. "Yours." He helped her out of the car, careful of her shoulder. "I bought it last week. Before everything went to hell. Thought maybe, if you decided to stay, you'd want something that was yours. Not mine. Yours." Isabella looked at the beautiful brownstone, then at the man who'd kidnapped her, kept her, loved her, and nearly lost her. "I don't want something that's just mine," she said quietly. "I want something that's ours." The smile that broke across his face was sunrise after the longest night. They stood on the steps of a Brooklyn brownstone, the Manhattan skyline glittering across the river, and Isabella Romano knew that her life would never be boring again, would never be safe, would never be simple, but it would be hers. Built on the impossible foundation of a kidnapping gone wrong and a love that should never have happened. Sometimes the best things in life start with the worst mistakes. Sometimes you find your person in the last place you'd ever look. And sometimes, getting kidnapped by accident leads you exactly where you were meant to be. Even if the mafia boss who keeps you is the most dangerous man you've ever met. So what did you think of Isabella and Dante? Drop a comment telling us what you thought about their story. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button because tomorrow we've got another absolutely insane story you won't want to miss. And tell us where you're watching from. We love hearing from our viewers in every corner of the world. Until next time, stay safe out there, or don't. Sometimes danger leads you exactly where you need to be. Thank you for watching.